I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all of the difference. There are many secrets and mysteries in this world, strange places and events that call out to us to explore and investigate. These realms of the unknown and the unexplained are waiting for us, just over the horizon and down a dark road. Join your host, Dennis Carroll and Gerald Fountain, as we take the road less traveled. Good evening out there in podcast land, ladies and gentlemen. I am your humble host, Mr. Dennis Carroll, and this is another episode of The Road Less Traveled. Buckle up there, Buttercups. We're going to take us another ride on the strange highway known as The Road Less Traveled. Welcome aboard tonight. My co-host is under the weather, and so I've got it by myself on this round, and we hope you'll get to feeling better out there, Gerald, definitely, and hope you'll get back feeling good once again very, very soon, dear sir, and we appreciate you. Definitely miss you. All right, and I want to welcome everybody aboard here. We even have the Cryptid Huntress in the house tonight. Hello, Jessica. She and I had a fantastic show today. If you missed it, you really missed one, okay? And you need to really go back and check that. Check it and watch it. It was a great show on the Blimmies. And I hear even Jessica may have turned into a Blimmy after the show was over. I'm not sure about that. Well, I saw something like that. But anyway, it was a great show. A very interesting subject. She never continues to amaze me. She is a premier researcher, and I always enjoy getting on there with her and talking about some of this stuff. So if you missed it, she's guilty. Okay. If you missed it, go back and check it, folks. It's a great one, and it's on her channel and my channel. Okay. It's also in my library if you happen to be in there, or if you're on hers. But please go over and show her site some love. Subscribe if you have not subscribed to the Cryptid Huntress. I don't know what to think about you, okay? You better get on the ball and get with it here, okay? Go over there and subscribe and ring her bell or press that heart or whatever you're supposed to do and do that. And also, while you're at it, you might want to subscribe to this show. If you have never done that, if you're a new person coming in for the first time, welcome aboard. And subscribe. That's what we're all about here, folks. Absolutely. And don't forget my good friend Gerald Fountain. He has a channel, Midwest Night Watchers. Go check him out. Go over there and subscribe to his channel if you haven't done so. He has a store. Check out his store. Don't forget it. Jessica has a store as well. War Warming Goods. By the way, some great stuff in that too. So check it out if you get a chance, and patronize these people if you will, please. They can use the funds to finance what they're doing, just like what I do as well. So none of this stuff is free, folks. Absolutely, there's no such thing as a free lunch. All right, absolutely not. So keep that in mind. Okay, I want to welcome you all in the house tonight. Kyle's here, Jason. Roger Blair is in the house as well. The lovely Shiro is with us. Blazer. And the Blazers in here. All right. Dawn Morris. And let's see who else we got coming in. Wizard Moon. Hello. Wizard Moon. That sounds, that always kind of sounds to me like a little bit like an old Western or something. It was on the night of a Wizard Moon. Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, I like that name. All right, let's see what else we got. Danette is in here. Hello. Mr. Philip Cleveland. Hello, Philip. Welcome back in, sir. All right. Blue Eyed Bandit is in the house. All right. Well, appreciate you all gathering tonight. Tonight's topic, I think you're going to find very, very interesting. We're going to go from the natural to the supernatural here tonight. We're going to talk about volcanoes to begin with. And we're going to talk about the year of 1816, when there was no summer, folks. No summer at all. And there's a reason why, and this can happen again, and we're long overdue for it happening again. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about the 3 days of darkness that people are talking about. What do they mean by this? Is this some kind of something new, or is it something that's been around for a while? We're going to talk about that too. It's a very supernatural subject, the 3 days of darkness. Okay, you especially believe in this without a doubt if you're Catholic. You do believe in the 3 days of darkness, probably, or you have heard about it. We're going to talk a little bit about that tonight as well. But we've got some more stragglers coming in here. That's fine. Come on in if you're late. Doesn't matter as long as you get here. That's the main way. Main thing right there. Absolutely. But yeah, volcanoes. We have the interesting thing I've always found out that's so interesting about volcanoes, they also cause earthquakes. They can cause lightning storms. They can cause some very bad stuff with clouds and atmospheric conditions. Volcanoes, my friends, are very, very bad news. Okay, and we've got a lot of active volcanoes in this world. As a matter of fact, we're sitting on one right here in the United States in Yellowstone. That if that thing goes, and they say it is also long overdue, if it goes, we will have something very close to a nuclear winter. Do you know what that is? The nuclear winter, if you're not familiar with that term, means that the earth will become so inundated with ash and debris and dust that it will block out the sun completely. It will be like winter for the whole year. This happened one time before, although it wasn't nuclear. It was natural, and this can be worse in some ways than a nuclear winter, okay? But in the year 1816, by the way, that is the same year that the novel Frankenstein was written by Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley, by the way. And it was a dreary, dark, damp, stormy year because of what happened early in the year of 1816. Krakatoa, a volcano in the Caribbean, exploded and sent enough ash and dust up into the air that it completely blanketed the atmosphere above us so that the sun could not shine through. When this happened, there was no summer that year. In the middle of July, there was frost on the ground. Think about this a moment, folks. In the middle of July, frost on the ground. When it first occurred in spring, people were having to run around in the streets with lit torches, leading other people to houses and stuff. You couldn't see anything. It was like it would be 12 o'clock noon, and it was like 12 o'clock midnight. They thought it was the end of the world, actually. They thought it was. It seemed that way to them. when you expect the sun to come up one day and it doesn't, when you expect sunshine and there's no sunshine to shine, it was getting reflected off of the very gaseous and dusty clouds that encompassed the earth thanks to this volcano. And this was not even as large as a volcano as some that are in the world today ready to go off. These are ticking time bombs, folks. Ticking time bombs waiting to show off. Absolutely. Remember what happened with Mount St. Helens? That's nothing. Nothing at all compared to what could happen with the one in Yellowstone. Thank you there, Danette, for that very generous sticker there, dear. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Absolutely. Thank you. That's nothing. We're sitting on a time bomb here in this country, and if it ever goes off, it's not going to be something that happens somewhere else, folks. It's not going to be something that you'll hear on the news. You will see this happen. Trust me, if you live through it. Did you hear what I just said? If you live through it, you will see it happen. There's a good chance you may not. This is going to have a ripple effect worldwide. It would be the end. I would say, I'm not going to be a Debbie Downer here, okay? Or a Dennis Downer is the problem is. I'm not trying to paint a very dismal picture here for you, but it is dismal when you think about it. If something like this happening, this is a terrible natural disaster that could wreck the environment completely. There might be no America left when this thing goes off. Trust me. It's going to put a great big hole right smack dab in the middle of the continental United States. And the earthquakes that will follow, the lightning storms that will follow, the winds, the dust, everything connected with what happens. Well, a volcano is nothing but an interruption of explosion, an eruption of explosion from the Earth's core almost. This is bad news. Not just the lava flows, the ash. That's what destroyed Pompeii. Two things destroyed Pompeii, and we've studied Pompeii for centuries now. Pompeii was there was a Mount Etna. Etna erupted in Italy, and when it did, it sent up enough ash to blanket the sky. Definitely, that happened with that. But also, the worst part of all was the heat. It created a heat storm. That's what killed people. It cooked their brains inside of their skulls very quickly. A lot of them never knew. I mean, it was so quick, they didn't know what happened to them. And then the ash fell that completely covered them up. It was like a snowfall with flakes about a foot in circumference. Think about that. Foot large, foot size, large snowflakes. But these were not snowflakes. They didn't melt. They were ash flakes from this. This would be the fallout. Like I say, it's like a nuclear bomb, only probably worse in some ways than the nuclear bomb, except for the radiation part. Hello, Bigfoot Dwarf. Good to have you in here, bud. But think about it. This would be a natural disaster on a scale unknown in this country before in our history. It would be a terrible thing to see, definitely. And we're sitting on this time bomb, folks. It could go anytime. It's still letting off steam. That's where you got a lot of in Yellowstone, places like that. You've got a lot of volcanic activity just under the crust there. You've got a lot of geysers and stuff like that going off. You got some bad stuff out there just waiting to tick off. What do you guys think about that, huh? Will that not be a horrible situation to think about? Absolutely. It would not only disrupt the food chain in this country, it would disrupt travel. It's a horrendous thing. It'd be almost on the scale of an asteroid hitting this country. Put it that way. It would be almost like that. And we know we did. We know exactly what they did to the dinosaurs, did we not? Supposedly, that's what happened to them. And I don't know who you are, but where I stand at, you're not as tough as a dinosaur. Okay, they were pretty tough guys, and if they can be killed off by something like that, that's it. Salute, Bigfoot George. Salute, brother. I hope you got everything nailed down on the West Coast out there. But we have other volcanoes worldwide, not just the one in Yellowstone. There are other ones. There are several. You heard about one just lately that started up again in Hawaii. We've got them all over the world. There is a ring of fire around this world of volcanoes. If some of them were to go 2 or 3 simultaneously at one time, that would probably launch us into something like a nuclear winter as well. If it sends up enough ash and dust in the air to block out the sun, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have a year with no corn. You're going to have a year with no wheat. You're going to have a year with no tomatoes. Think of what you grow out there. Whatever you grow, you're going to have a year without it, my friends. You're not going to have any cabbage. You're not going to have any lettuce for your Whopper burger there. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have some hard times ahead. Like I said, it's going to disrupt the food chain itself. Well, our farmers are the backbone of this country. Without our farms, we will starve. Would we not? Probably, mostly we would, unless we eat enough canned goods to keep us alive until then. And that would be very far-fetched to think about that. Times will get very hard very quickly, my friends. And we're sitting on the edge of that every day. Dangling our feet over the edge. We're just that close. We need to understand that. We may have another year of 1816 again. The year without summer. And we do not know to this day how many people died and starved to death during that year because they were more dependent on things that you grow in your own backyard and your fields than we are now. A lot of people perished because of that. There was no sunlight. There were no crops. Can you imagine that in the middle of July, frost on the ground? The snows came early that year. Snows started falling in August. Think about that. That's a horrendous thing. The year without summer. I don't know about you, but I would definitely miss summer. Summer is one of my favorite times of the year. Summer, I was born in summer. I was born for summer. Okay. That's just me. Wizard Moon says so much crazy stuff's taking place right now. I can't even keep up. It is. It's getting weird. It's getting wild. It's getting wild, But it's like I said on Jessica's show the other day. We were talking about that very same thing. Everybody knows something big is coming down the line. Everybody knows something is going to happen. We all feel it, folks. We are tapped into the human consciousness of this world. We're tapped into it, and we all know, we feel it without a doubt. We know something's coming. We may not know what, but we know something is coming. And it's not going to be good something, okay? It's not, we don't see a good something coming down the line here. It's something that's going to be very detrimental to us in some ways. And we need to prepare. So Jessica was talking about the other day, and I said on some of my shows, we need to start putting in some canned goods here, folks. You need to start thinking about that. And you need to start getting in some water supplies. You need to get some canned fuel. That's a real big plus there. You need to have propane and some other gases and all this stuff on hand. You need to prepare for this thing that's coming. At least 2 or 3 months of stuff that might tide you over. You know what I mean? Because we don't know how long these things may take it. You see what I'm saying? And we've got to be very careful about preparing ourselves for this stuff. And when I talk about canned goods, I want to stress something. Do not Do not keep on hand canned goods that have any kind of acid in them, like tomatoes or stuff like that. They go bad very quickly. You want canned food. Maybe something along the lines of maybe some type of beef stew that can, something that will last a couple of years in a can. That's what you want. Okay? Something like with potatoes. You know, you can get like sliced potatoes in a can. You could live on that. You know, it would give you starch and energy and all that. You need to think about things like that. Beans. Beans are good to have on hand. Now, don't have any chili beans because they've got tomato in there. Okay, you want to kind of avoid tomato because it's got acid to it and it eats the cans up. Okay, so yeah, potatoes are good. Corn is good. Any any kind of canned vegetable like that you want to go with. Collard greens maybe. Um, Whatever in that situation. Spinach. Those are things you can have on hand, but avoid the tomatoes with tomato sauce and stuff like that. You don't, spaghetti's not going to make it usually 1 year with tomato sauce. Okay, it's not going to, you might make it 1 year with it, but just bear in mind to be very careful what canned goods you want to have on hand. But I can't stress enough that you need to buy you one of those cheap water filters. You can get them on Amazon for $10, and believe me, it'll be the best $10 you ever spent. You can funnel water through it and clean water amazingly with these filters. I know the name of one. I've got one. I can't think of the name of it right now. I would tell you the name of it, but you get in contact with me. I'll try to find you the link to it on Amazon. But um, you need one of those, but you need to have some water supplies. You cannot live without. You can go a couple of weeks without food, okay, but you ain't gonna make it a couple of days hardly without water. You got to have water. So make sure you always have bottled water on hand, and also you might want to buy a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 of the big bottled water, the 4 or 5 gallons of water that come in the big bottles. You might want to have those on hand as well. That's a good way to keep a lot of water for cooking too. So you need to start thinking about this, folks, and get you those cans of fuel. Get the propane and the butane. Get you some of that on hand. You can cook with it. You can light with it. You can warm stuff up, whatever you need to do with it. They even got a stove you can buy. Listen to this. It's called My Little Buddy or something like that. The name of it. You can hook this baby up to propane, and it will heat your house. It will heat your room up. It may not do your whole house, but it would heat one room up. You could live in one room if you had to for a while, and you can heat one room up with My Little Buddy. Definitely, no problem at all. You need to look into this, folks. Okay, because if something goes down the line and it's bad and it happens in winter, that could cost you your life, definitely. So you need to be prepared for whichever way this may go in the end. But we need to start getting in the mindset and thinking about these things. We're on the well, so I got 2 good generators. That's good. But now you got to remember something, Kyle. Generators work on gas. And if the pumps quit working, you ain't going to get no gas, okay? If there's no electricity, you ain't going to get no gas. You better look at another alternative thing, okay? And I have a good generator now. I went out and got me one. I got me a good generator that I can plug up to my solar panel and have all the energy I want from the sun and save it up in this thing and use it. Okay, you want to look at alternative things. You can't depend on that because if there's even some kind of a nuclear attack and it destroys all of the electrical stuff that we have, you're not going to get gas anymore, my friend. That's going to be it. The only people that have gas will be governments, and they're not going to let you have none of it because the government's going to be strictly running on its own gas, and. But there's not going to be any way when the gas pumps go down, you can't get that gas out of the ground. You might as well forget it. So you got to start thinking. You got to start thinking about the considering what can really happen in this kind of a situation. You know. But like I say, generators got to have gas to run them. You know. And you can learn about this. What Roger Blair is talking about. You can learn about things you can eat out in the wild, folks. I've studied this for many years. The things you can and you better not eat. By the way, there's a lot of things you better not eat out there, but there are a lot of things you can. There are roots and stuff that you can get that you can eat and live off of. Okay, knowledge is very important. You got to remember this. If you don't have the right amount of knowledge, you ain't gonna make it, my friends. Okay, that's all there is to it. When it comes down to the end, that's what it comes to. You're a spear fisherman, huh? But then, what are you gonna do though? What happens when the streams get polluted? You know, there's gonna be a lot of that. You won't know what to drink or eat out of that stream if it's got radiation poisoning in it or whatever. We're gonna have to be very careful how we approach this and be ready for any scenario that's out there if you want to survive. And it's like I said on Jessica's show today when we were talking about the blemmies, you know, they will do anything to survive. They'll eat anything to make it. That's what's going to happen, folks. That's what it takes to survive. No rules, no guidelines on survival. You know, that's what it gets down to. Dog eat dog, you know. But think about it. And like I say, we need to be smart. Don't be scared. You know, some people say, "Oh, you're trying to scare us, Dennis. You're trying to scare me." No, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to warn you. I'm trying to get you ready. I'm trying to get you prepared. I want you to be ready. I want you to get in the right mindset to handle this. I want you to be able to survive. But you got to do it the right way. You got to have the knowledge. You got to have the willpower. You got to have the mindset that it takes to survive. And that's what we all got to look at and we all got to consider. So don't be scared. Be smart. Be smart. That's what it is. Now it's time for the blemish that scared you earlier. Did they ever I wouldn't want to run into those guys either. You know, you don't have a head. That's just too weird. No head, man. But yeah, I mean, you know, we got to do what we got to do to survive in this world. That's the way it goes. I said one thing about those blemishes we talked about. Those son of the guns could eat you very quickly. They could grab you and pull you up on the stomach there and you're gone, buddy. They could chomp you down real quick. You'd be yesterday's dinner real quick, man. But yeah, we gotta be smart. We gotta be smart. And do the right thing and do the smart thing, you know. That's the main stuff. That's what we gotta look at, you know. Now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the 3 days of darkness. Okay. Trading Navy animals, escape invasion, warfare, eat maggots, you eat whatever it takes. You eat bugs, you eat crickets, you eat grasshoppers, whatever. You got it. Like I say, there's no rules. You got to do what you got to do to survive. If you don't survive. That's it. Pure and simple. You know what the number one rule of survival is? Are you ready for it? Hey, Walter, are you ready for it? Here it comes. The number one rule of survival is that there are no rules. Got that? That's the number one rule of survival. There are no rules. That's kind of bad. You do whatever it takes. And you know what? It's going to come down to it defending the next peanut butter sandwich you eat, buddy, with a gun or a knife. Well, your neighbor will cut your throat for it very quickly. You better keep that in mind. When the world goes blaming, you know, it's going. And it's going to be dog eat dog. It's going to be a jungle like you never believed in a jungle before, my friends. Because the human animal is worse than any other animal on this planet. That's the one you better watch out for. You know what my favorite line from a horror movie is? The dead don't give me no problems. It's the living that give me problems. The dead don't bother me none. It's the living. And that's what's going to give you problems, the living people in this world. They are worse. I'd rather go up against tigers and lions, okay? And bears and Bigfoot and dog, man. I'd rather go up against them than humans any day, my friend. And you take this from an old monster hunter that goes way back. Trust me when I say that. Because the most despicable animal on this planet is a human being. You can't trust them, they lie. They'll stab you in the back while they smile in your face and steal whatever that last bit of bread, that last crumb of bread you got. They'll do it. Oh, yep. Because, what? They following the number one rule of survival. There ain't no rules. There ain't no rules. Okay, let's talk about the 3 days of darkness. Now, there's a thing going around in the Catholic Church, believed by a lot of Catholics to this day, and you may have heard it too. It's in the Protestant sector as well, that there is going towards the end of time, that one of the plagues in the Bible that talks about the book of Revelation talks about there will be a darkness that will fall over the earth for 3 days and nights. This monster's honest about intentions, people deceive. That's right, Griff. Absolutely. At least you know where you stand with a monster. You know what I mean? Yep. So anyway, the 3 days of darkness are supposed to be supernatural. Okay, this is some darkness brought down by God as a plague upon humanity. And in this 3 days of darkness, there will be demons in the darkness. You can't go outside. You better, if you get out of the light, they will get you. They will be waiting to get you, drag you to hell or whatever they're going to do to you. So you do not go outside in this darkness, my friends. As a matter of fact, nothing's going to work. Regular lights are not going to work. They're going to be dim. You won't be able to use them. Your electricity won't work. Your generators won't work. Your lanterns won't work. What's going to work? The only thing that supposedly will give light during this time are blessed beeswax candles. Did you hear what I said? Blessed beeswax candles. I've got some around here somewhere. That's the only thing that will give light in the 3 days of darkness. If you go outside in these 3 days of darkness, you will encounter demons that will unalive you. You will not be ever seen again when you go outside. You cannot leave that circle of light of the blessed beeswax candles. If you do, they will get you. That's what that's about, the 3 days of darkness. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me over the years, Dennis, do you believe this? Do you believe this is going to happen? It would not surprise me a bit if it did happen. But I don't see the only thing that you can look at this way, okay? The 3 days of darkness was one of the plagues that God sent on Egypt. Okay? You remember all the plagues, the death of the firstborn, the frogs, and all of the different plagues that were visited on Egypt. One of them was 3 days and nights of extreme darkness. That's when no light would work, torches wouldn't light up, things just wouldn't work. There was no light in the world. They were walking around, stumbling around in darkness, even in the middle of the day. That sounds very much like what I talked about earlier, doesn't it? Like the volcanoes. Huh? During that year of 1816, there were several days that had no light at all. Middle of the day was dark as midnight. Think about that. That was scary, okay? They thought about those 3 days of darkness, supposedly. But some people say that this is in the book of Revelation. There is a thing talks about darkness in there, but it doesn't actually specify that. But some people have correlated the plagues in the book of Revelation with the plagues that happened to Egypt. There is a little coordination with that. There is some correlation, but I don't really see that as a biblical scholar myself. I don't, I can't really say that's very clear on that, you know. I'm not going to sit here tonight and tell you there absolutely will not be 3 days of darkness. That's a bunch of junk. I don't know that for sure. I can't tell you that. I'm not going to tell you that because I don't know. A lot of things are going to happen in that period of time that are supernatural, without a doubt. People in the background. Look at the Antichrist. Look at the false prophet. Those two guys are supernatural. They're not normal human beings. They're not like you and me. They're supernatural guys. But they're bad supernatural guys, okay? They come straight out of hell. That's where they come from. All right. And I will be doing a show with Chantel Mayberg Thursday, part 2 of Who is the False Prophet. You don't want to miss that, okay? That's Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Aquarius Rising, Africa, okay? Check it out. Part 2, Who is the False Prophet? We're going to talk about that and who I think he might be. He may be already on the stage. He may be. We're going to talk about that Thursday, okay? But these guys are supernatural too. I'm going to tell you this about the end of time, folks, okay? Last days, they're going to be the most supernatural days this world has ever known. And this world's known a lot of supernatural days and times, okay? This is going to be the most supernatural of all. There are going to be demons screaming around out there in the darkness. There are going to be bugs that will sting you, but you won't die. That'll make you suffer horribly. There's going to be a lot of terrible, terrible things happen in this world. The animals are going to turn on us. Nature is going to turn on us. The weather's going to turn on us. Volcanoes are going to explode. Earth is going to quake. There's going to be super storms that the world has never seen before. There's going to be there's going to be asteroids hit this planet. The Antichrist. There are many false prophets. No, the false prophet, though, is the one that's going to run the church. He's going to be the right-hand man of the Antichrist. You got to remember, the Antichrist represents the unholy trinity of Satan the Father, Antichrist the Son, and false prophet the Holy Spirit. The last pope has passed. We have Bishop Petros Romano ready for the world religion. That's who we're going to talk about Thursday. We're definitely going to be talking about him, okay? So tune in. Anyway, this is going to be the most supernatural time the world has ever known, my friend. So if the 3 days of darkness happen, I would not be surprised a bit. So what do I say? Maybe you might want to go out and buy you some blessed beeswax candles just to be on the safe side. I got some. That's all I can tell you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going to happen. It's not. I don't see biblically where it says that, but I can't, stranger things have happened. We'll do it that way. Had me wet my whistle. So there you go. The 3 days of darkness. If they do happen, it's going to be a terrible thing. Absolutely. It's going to be horrible. There are demons that are going to be turned loose on this world, folks. Millions of them. They're like never before. There's going to be a lot of bad things that's going to happen. And a lot of people don't want to. Oh, Dennis, shut up. Shut up, Dennis. Dennis, shut up right now. A lot of people tell me, we don't want to hear that kind of stuff. We don't want to talk about that. Oh, that's just scary. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. Well, you better start thinking about it, friend. You better start thinking about it, my friends. Because it is coming. This is sure as spring comes and fall comes out, it's coming. I don't want to be. I don't want to be down about it either. I'd rather talk about pleasant stuff. But this is some of the real deal. The real deal. I don't know about you, my friend. Okay, but I want real people around me. I don't want false friends and all. I want real people around me, don't you? And don't you want to talk about real stuff, things that could really be real, not something that's made up. You know what I'm saying? The real deal. That's what we're talking about here. And when you ask me, I'll tell you the real truth. I don't really know. Even as a biblical scholar myself, I can't say for sure that there will be 3 days of darkness. There may not. It would not surprise me, though. A lot of bad things are going to happen on this planet. Why? I'll tell you, for one reason alone, these people have turned their back on the true God of this world, of this universe, the real God of this universe. That's why all this bad stuff's going to happen. God will never turn around and walk away from you, my friend. But you can do that. You can turn away and walk away from God. And that's what this world's doing. They don't want God in their schools anymore. They don't want God in their businesses. They don't want God in their churches. They don't want God anywhere anymore. They've turned their back on God big time. They don't want God in their lives. Don't tell me. Don't say anything to me about God. I want to do whatever I want to do. That's what they tell you real quick. Well, what do you think is going to happen when you do something like that, huh? What do you think is going to happen? It's like that little boy, I got a little boy one time. He told me he was sitting on the sidewalk crying. I said, "What's wrong, buddy?" He said, I got on my bicycle and it's got a broken back wheel on it. And I fell off of it. And I said, "Well, did you try to ride your bicycle with a broken back wheel?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what did you think was going to happen?" So when you do stuff like that, what do you think's going to happen? You sure can't make you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, for instance. You don't pray and salute the flag no more in school, and it's against the stuff that they teach you in there. They'd rather hang the Pride Day flag up, get you to salute that while you're at it. By the way, they don't even want to hear about the fact that pride comes before a fall. Some people have already failed about as far as they're going to go. But anyway, that's where the situation stands today. What do you think's going to happen, my friends? If I ask you honestly tonight, what do you think the world's going to be like 3 years from now? What do you think? In God we trust, all others pay cash. First comes the pride and then the fall. Well, the fall's already upon us, I'm afraid. We've got plenty of pride. What do you think's going to happen? But that's what really gets me. People do these stupid things, and then they're surprised at the outcome on it. Why is he doing that? That's like that guy I talked to one time. He said, "Oh, my life is cursed. I got a curse on me." I said, "Why do you feel like you got a curse on me?" He said, "Well, nothing goes right. I go and make a dope deal, get me some dope, take that, or I'll get me some weed and smoke that, and I do this and I do that. I get drunk Saturday night and I woke up somebody's house. I don't even know who they was. All that." Said, "Nothing's turning out right." I said, "Well, why do you think it's not turning out right? Look what you're doing. My God, look how you're living. You think you're going to get blessed like that? Wake up." The one you got a curse on you, and you the one that did it. You're the one that brought the curse on yourself. Nobody else. The devil don't have. I'm gonna tell you this: for some of us, my friends, the devil don't have to work very hard with some of us. Yeah, it's easy peasy with some of us. But I'm sorry to say it, but that's the way it goes. But anyway, yeah, the 3 days of darkness is a very interesting thing. And like I said, that would not surprise me a bit. There will be demons out there in the darkness. They will be getting people. Oh, yeah. That is a definite part of the book of Revelations. Absolutely. Go back and read it. Million mad screaming demons are going to be turned loose out of that pit that has no bottom. That's another dimension, my friends. That's another dimension on another world. It's going to be turned loose on us. Yeah. The devil's lettuce, yeah. I'm gonna tell you what, the height of hypocrisy. Okay, to me, there's a lot of people saying around, "Oh no, I would never dream of smoking a cigarette. Oh no, I don't. I quit tobacco a long time ago, but they still smoke marijuana. That's even worse. You might as well have kept smoking. I mean." One joint's about to equals one pack of regular tobacco cigarettes. Well, come on. Don't tell me you're being healthy. You're trying to be healthy on one side, and you're doing something like that on the other. What? That doesn't make sense. That's being a hypocrite, my friends. Big time. Somebody once said it. One preacher once said, a regular sinner gives God a bad taste in his mouth. The hypocrite makes him want to spit him out. Think about that a moment. Yeah, interesting analogy, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, you can eat it, you can drink it, and all that stuff. But look what it's doing to your body, Area 51. That's the thing about it. In other words, they're saying, "Oh, I try to eat healthy, I do this," and they still do that junk. The stuff that it's doing to your body, vape, yeah, they vape. That's just vaping's even worse than smoking in some ways. Now they're talking about it gumming your lungs up even worse than the tobacco does. I mean, come on. If you're gonna be healthy 100% all the way, or don't brag on it, you know, because you're putting stuff in your body that ain't supposed to be there. You got to watch out about that kind of stuff. Yes, vaping is bad. Yeah. It ain't supposed to be there, It ain't your normal thing you're supposed to have in your body. Let's just put it that way, But anyway, I'm not gonna get into that tonight. But anyway, what do you think about the 3 days of darkness? Do any of you think that there will be 3 days of darkness? And are you gonna go out and buy you some blessed beeswax candles? I'm just curious. Color me curious. I gave up drinking a long time ago too, Tracy. I gave up smoking too. Alcohol is even worse. Alcohol is one of the most cancer causing agents on this planet, but they don't want to tell you that because they make too much money off of it. I got stressed. Well, that's what happens with people that overeat. They eat when they get stressed or something. It becomes like a habit to them. You come home, you sit down night, you sit on the couch, you gotta have something to eat. You gotta start eating your potato chips or your corn puffs and all your Cheetos, and you gotta have something in hand. It becomes a habit. You may not be really hungry. It's just a habit that you gotta have when you sit down there. The volcanoes is a party, which you would call that. Yeah. They could cause that, yeah. definitely. There will be volcanoes going off. And like I said, that's a good possibility for 3 days of darkness. Maybe more than 3 days. If it does that, it would be more like, like 3 months or something. But anyway, this is a supernatural darkness that they're talking about here, though. This is something that's brought down by God. It could be related to volcanoes. God could use that. And that was, God does use natural things a lot of times. It's like I said, I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to say it's a bunch of superstitious stuff. I'm not going to rule it out. It's something that could happen. But like I said, you might want to go out and buy you some blessed beeswax candles. Or if you want to buy you a bunch of beeswax candles and bring them on the show, and night I'll bless them for you. But anyway, that is an interesting thing. But like I said, there's a lot of supernatural stuff going to come down the line, and we need to be kind of aware of that fact. Absolutely. Now, wax candle is the most natural candle wax in nature. Okay, that's why they say it's supposed to be natural. And beeswax, it has a beeswax smell to it. I just like them because it smells good when you burn them. But you can buy beeswax candles on Amazon, relatively cheap. That is that would be my suggestion if you want to get them from Amazon. I think you'll get them cheaper there than anywhere else, unless your local Walmart has them. I don't know. I never have checked there, though. I never have looked. I don't go into Walmart much anyway, but you could find out and see. But like I say, I can bless them for you. No problem about that. I know nothing about gaming. Pac-Man's my speed. Hell yeah, the old Pac-Man, yeah. Yeah, they do, Chicken Blue. They smell good. Yeah, I like the smell of beeswax candles. It used to be once upon a time, church was the only ones that had beeswax candles because, like I said, they're natural and they're supposed to be a pleasing scent to God. They had a very big church connection. As a matter of fact, I have a part of my spirit cleansing kit. I have a 100-year-old beeswax candle from a church. They were blessed by several priests. And they still have, like 100 years later, they still got that smell. That's amazing. Yeah. But this is something definitely a lot of the Catholics believe in, and well, a lot of some Protestants do believe in it too. By the way, that there will be the 3 days of darkness. And like I say, I don't know. I can't tell you one way or the other whether it's going to happen or not. But it wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't be surprised. Bees are neat. My grandfather. When I was a little kid, my grandfather had 2 or 3 beehives. He was a big bee. He was big, and I think that was his hobby, beekeeping. And when I was a little boy, I guess I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. I walked down there one day and knocked on the hive, and they swarmed me. I guess I was stung over 100 times. They were all over me. I had a handkerchief on and a bandana on. They were like hanging in the bandana. They stung me well over 100 times. So I can tell you without doubt I am not allergic to bee stings. Okay, although they swelled me up pretty good. They didn't kill me, but bees are interesting. There's an old superstition that if someone in the family dies, You're supposed to go down to the beehive and tell them so and so died, so they'll know it, especially if it's the beekeeper. So they have supposed to have a supernatural like attachment to the beekeeper. I like that movie with Jason Statham, the beekeeper. He had a real big love going on with his bees. Yeah, bee stings they say help arthritis. Yeah. The bad thing about it, the bee dies by stinging you. Unless they're African bees, they don't lose their stingers, by the way. They can keep stinging you all they want. Just like hornets. Hornets never lose their stinger. Bees, though, the stinger will be pulled out of the bee and he'll die. Yeah, they know the keeper's scent, less stinging. Yeah, they know who he is. They know his job is to take care of them. And they sort of give him a break on it. But they say the big thing about if you're a beekeeper is not to put on cologne or any kind of aftershave when you go down to the hive. They're supposed to throw them off or something, and they can't get your real scent or something. I've heard that. Horse ranch thoroughbreds, huh? Oh yeah. There's always yellow jackets. Yeah, those yellow jackets can mean little buggers. Definitely. You can get rid of their nest by pouring kerosene down in the hole and lighting it up. But you don't do that during the day. You go at night, at twilight when all of them go home. All at night, all the bees and wasps and everything they go back to the nest. And so does the yellow jacket. It goes down in his hole, and then you can pour the kerosene in and light up. That will kill all of them. That will wipe the thing out. But you can't do it in daytime. It won't kill all of them. You gotta do it at night. Yep, call Jason Statham, the beekeeper. He'll take care of it for you. But yeah, I'll tell you what the thing about I've been stung by everything: scorpions, spiders, everything. And the only thing that really did me that hurt, it hurts like the dickens, was a bumblebee, man. Boy, those suckers, not now the carpenter bees. Uh, uh, some of them don't have a stinger. These do. These are little black bumblebees. Boy, them suckers hurt, buddy. They got some venom in them. But I tell you, the yellow jacket hurts. I mean, really hurts. It's got a pain to it. They don't swell you up as much as they just hurt. I had one sting me on the lip one time, man. That hurt like land of Goshen, man. That was I'm a retired scuba diver operator and rescue in Hawaii. Oh, okay. You've seen a lot. That's something I've always wanted to do. Of course, I never lived at the ocean, but I always wanted to get in, skin diving. I always thought that was, it would be enjoyable. Definitely. I am a scorpion from the tequila bottle. uh, they bees are disappearing. Yeah, bees are having a bad time. A lot of this Roundup just killed them. A lot of pesticides and all that, and pollution. Done a big job on our bees. And bees are very important. We can't have flowers and stuff without bees, and also certain vegetables need to be um, terraformed by bees as well. So bees are very, very important in this world, and they ought to be taken care of them better. Great fun, huh? I always wanted to swim with the sharks. Horrible seeing no bees, no life on this planet. Yep, that's the way it goes. Well, there's a lot's happened to this planet. We were given this by God to name everything and to take care of it, and we really should have got fired a long time ago because we really are down on our job. We're not doing it right. But anyway, that's our show tonight. Volcanoes, a year without summer. It's getting me cold thinking about it. Year without summer, and 3 days of darkness, and 3 days and nights of darkness. We'll think about that. Yeah, creature get blue and the bees die, we die. Absolutely. Because they are very instrumental in a lot of crops and pollinating things and all. Absolutely. Bees are here for a reason. They're part of the chain. If you ever weaken the link in the chain or even break the chain, you got bad trouble. Bad trouble. Absolutely. But well, I appreciate you all tonight for being here. And like I say, if you missed that great show with Jessica today, go check it out. Go over to the Jessica's the Cryptid Huntress, Jessica Jones channel. Check it out. Check out her shop, War Woman Goods. She's got some really nice bling bling in there. Okay, so go check that out, and also check out our good friend Gerald Fountain, Midwest Night Watchers. They have a store. Check his store out and check it out real good when you get a chance. And go over and check out his channel. Please show them some love. Please show our friend Heidi Pop some love. Go check out Heidi Pop's channel and her show and give her some subscriptions if you don't have them. She is a good friend of ours, Heidi Pop. And also, don't forget our good friend Kenny Lord Star Fox. Check him out. I'm appearing right now on his show, on his channel, on there talking about dog men and stuff like that. You might want to listen in on it. That's on YouTube, Star Fox Radio. Check it out. Check out Beyond the Box with my good friend Blenda. And Blenda's a good girl. She always has some interesting people. Check her out. And don't forget my good friend Chantel Mayberg. I will be on her show Thursday, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking about who is the false prophet. You might want to check that out on Aquarius Rising Africa. Okay, go check that out as well. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for the stickers tonight. Thank you so much for that, and thank you to the mods out there. We have one of the best chats on the tube there, folks. We got one of the best ones out there, and it's all because of guys like you. Okay, you rock too. The mods rock. You all rock. Okay. And I appreciate you all so very much. In my book, you are the best. You are the best of the best and better than all the rest. Okay. And if you haven't joined, we have a membership open for Shadow Hunters, the Wolf Pack. You might want to join that if you haven't done so. There've been some free, hang around because some people have been giving some free memberships out. Okay. So you might get lucky and get a free membership in the Shadow Hunters Wolf Pack. Okay. All right. So think about that. And also, we have a Patreon. We also have a Cash App if you want to do any donations. And don't forget, I also have a paranormal consultation service. If you have any kind of problems at all, whatever they may be in that respect, or you just want to tell a story, you want to get something off your mind, or whatever you want to talk about, feel free to contact me at any time at DennisWCarroll.com. Okay. I will see you back if nothing happens. Creeks, if God willing and the creeks don't rise. I will see you back here Wednesday night for Hunting the Shadows. Be here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. And we will we'll see what else we're gonna get into. I may have even a special secret guest for you. Okay. So we're watching for that. And then, of course, Friday night, we will have Paranormal Point of View at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be aware of that as well, okay? Don't be scared. Don't be worried. Be an aware wolf, okay? There you go. All right. Well, I appreciate you all so very much for being here tonight. Your support means so very much to me. You know that. And like I said, you are the best of the best, my friends. The cream of the crop in my book, all right? And also go hit that like button. Something weird about that like button, folks. That like button is giving people good luck. It is. I'm not making this up. It's giving people good luck. So you better go hit that like button and see what happens. You might get some good luck in your life, you know? Okay? We can all use more of that, can we not? All right. So be thinking about that. All right. Until we get back together again, then, my friends, take care of yourselves. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep an eye on your six. Don't be scared. Be smart. And be aware of what's going on. And take care of yourselves out there until we get back together again. All right? Seek the truth. Embrace the mystery. And until then, my friends, we will travel once again down the road less traveled. Take care of yourselves. Godspeed.